Hello and welcome to Gabbit Media. I'm Grant Abbott and you are watching the results of the transportation competition. So I've just been through them and I'm very impressed with all the entries. They were absolutely fantastic. And I would like to say a big thank you to Inhella, who is the admin for the Discord server, or one of the admin for the Discord server, but he has worked very hard on the bot to collect all your pictures. You may have seen it. It's got some weird name which is quite morbid, and it says collect souls when it's collecting your pictures and stuff, so not sure quite what his motivation was there, but it's really great. It's working really well, and as you'll see, let's take a look. We've got the first one from NotWeeb. This is looking good, nice model and well put together. I would say that thing that's letting it down is probably the background, weirdly, and the lighting. Try using an infinity screen, so look that up, and this is fairly easy to do, but I think it would look a lot better if it had a white background that sort of went off into the distance. But you'll get what I mean when you look up an infinity screen. Also, the lighting is only from one side by the looks of things, so 3-point lighting is kind of a must, at least a minimum of 3-point lighting when you're doing sort of I say product shots, but vehicle shots like this or something, so that you can see it from different angles. And also an HDRI in the background, your metals will look so much cleaner and nicer with an HDRI in the background. So do think about those things, because it's a really great model. I think we've got another angle here, yep. And it deserves more in terms of the way it's presented. Nice work though, well done. Now we've got I need help with coding. I need help with coding. With coding. Oh dear, caught me out there. Tough name to pronounce. So I think they had trouble. This was as far as they could go, and their computer could handle. I can understand that. It's always tricky, isn't it, when your computer or hardware lets you down. I think the things you can do though, by the looks of things, is perhaps go a little less on some of your subdivision surfaces. Make sure these are all instances. Those ones, you can scale instance. So yeah, think about instances. That will help. Details in here, for example, might be overboard because we can't really see them that well. But work on these sort of sharp edges around the here, because this doesn't quite make sense at the edge here where it's sticking out. So clean up those areas of the model. I like your textures, although we need a bit more of a gradient between these areas here, so a noise, or maybe it's Musgrave or something like that you're using there. We need a bit more of a blend between the two so it's not so stark. And you've got dirty parts and then clean parts. So decide whether it's going to be dirty or clean. Like the wheels are very clean, but your whatever this is dirty, the metal here. So yeah, to think about those areas and maybe tone down the subdivision surface amount, and your computer might run a little bit easier and better. Easier? Your computer might run better. Also, this is very, very uniform. I know that's probably the bit you would have worked on, but if that's the case, then just make it white and just sit on the ground, and don't focus on it because it detracts when it's a bit like this, I would say. Nice work though, really nice model. I like your modelling skills, they're very good. Right, who we got next? Now we've got Krasna. This is a drone, sort of, I suppose, transportation drone. It's a little bit like an insect. Nice ideas here. I think this is probably our best angle. I would say I really like it. I think I like the materials that you've used. I like the model itself. It looks really good. But I would say that you've got two sharper edges, so it looks really... although it's kind of what you want for an insecty like drone that you have to worry about. But it just looks too harsh, and it goes a bit sort of strange around these areas, probably because the normals, I think the program's struggling where it's really sharp pointed, and there isn't enough topology. So do a loop cutter or something, or cut in around here, smooth it out a little bit, and your models will look that bit better. The other thing I would say, the background, I don't think this is helping this. It sort of detracts this lines in the background. Again, go for a sort of infinity screen. And also denoising, I put the denoising on because these little tiny bits of noise will get cleaned up by the denoiser. If it detracts from your image, then turn down the denoiser, but a really low denoise value will help there and get rid of those fireflies. Nice work though, well done. Krasna. Oh, this is a good one, isn't it, from Mr. Squid. I do like a bit of low poly, and I like this one very much. I love the style. I love the colours. Not too saturated, not too pastel-y. The background works really well. It doesn't detract. It's just really nice. A lovely piece, really fantastic, and nice. It's just a great style, isn't it? I suppose the only thing is these two cars look too similar because of the colour, so I'd have maybe just adapted this colour really slightly. That's a really, really minor point. Probably not even worth making, so forget that. Love the trees, the rocks and the bushes. It just really looks great. Fantastic work, nice one from Mr. Squid. Now we've got Arcadius. This is a nice piece as well, lots of detail here, and it's got that 70-30% rule, so 30% detail, so all these areas here with the minute details, and then less detail in bigger areas, the sort of 70-30%. It's quite a clever rule, that, and it does well here. It looks really good. I like the colours, I like the textures. I think, am I right in you saying you use a Substance Painter for your textures? If you do, it's really working for you because they look really great. I like the way it's presented as well. The angles and doing two shots, good idea, and just putting your logo and things around the place. Excellent. I like the decals, they look good as well. It's just a fantastic piece, really nice. I suppose for me it's a tiny bit curvy in place, like this bit of metal sticks out a bit too far here and looks like it's not quite joined in. I mean, that's a very, very minor point, and the very sort of curvy metal here, maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe sort of sharpen that up or decide whether it's curved or straight. So yeah, those are really minor points, and that might just be a preference really. Nice work though, like it. Now we've got one from Jost. This looks really good, doesn't it? I do like this style. It's the low poly style, but there's a story here. We've got that classic walking away from an explosion shot. There's lots of detail gone into this explosion, and I like the centre of the explosion here with the cars. It's really great. I'm not sure what this is doing. What is this down here? And in fact, this shadow looks kind of strange. Why is there a shadow there? A minor point, I think. It doesn't really detract, but I'm trying to work out what it is. Are these letters, secret documents, for some reason, that meant things need to be blown up? Who knows? Like, there's two versions of this, isn't there? There's a dark one and a light one there. I prefer this one. I like the detail. I don't know, it's just this sort of evening light is quite a good idea. You could have possibly gone between the two. A sort of darker background, so it's really late, almost night, but with a bluish sky. Would have been quite cool. There's a really minor thing here, that this arm is quite fat, where it's thin up here and fat there, so I would have thinned out that arm just a little bit. I mean, that is really minor, and again, probably not worth noting, but I really, really like that piece. Excellent. I like the story aspect. It's very creative and very good fun. And the style of this guy, sort of Hitman style, very good. Now we've got one from Teacup. I do like this, very nice. I like the textures. It's got a nice fantastical feel to it, and very fun, childlike, very good. It's a tricky one actually, because this texture is very close or in tone to the background, and that we lose an element of depth, so maybe darkening these edges may have helped. It's tough because, yeah, we lose our sense of depth here in this area, or maybe just removing this piece might have been better, possibly, might have helped. I think we're a little bit dark around here as well. This material might in fact the box, I would say, that is the bucket or whatever you call these things, that he's flying in, may be just a bit too dark with the rucksack. So thinking about where your eyes are looking and separating it from the background, all those sort of things, there's a big contrast between the lightness of this and the lightness of this, and it's difficult to get the depth. It is tough because obviously this is going to be light because it's a sort of hot air balloon, but this background is very purpley and light, so would have reflections on here, and it would be quite light, it wouldn't be dark, so it's not quite working. In fact, is this star supposed to be right in front of him? I'm not sure. that's what I mean about the depth. So it's tough to figure out the depth. Really nice piece though. I do like it. Well done, Teacup. Now we have CID Watchmen. Nice piece. I love the horse in this. Looking really good. It's a nice style. It's got a comical feel to it, and lots of effort gone into that. Not so much effort gone into the cart, I don't think. I feel like that was a secondary thought, because these seats look more like tyres that have been cut up. And then, so we need a bit more detail in here, and you can see these sort of edges and topology going a bit skewed. So possibly a run out of time scenario there. But it's nice. It's a nice piece. You could have just kept with the horse, because the horse is a form of transport. The other thing I would say is it looks very dark. Dark shadows down here and dark background makes it look a bit sinister. And this seems more jovial, so I'd go a bit brighter and more fun personally. But well done, nice work, CID Watchmen. So now we're on to Just. Another good one here. I think this is our only 2D entry, isn't it? Yes, but it's a really nice piece, and I was going to judge them all in total. So we'll have one winner for 2D and 3D. But this is certainly a contender because it looks absolutely fantastic. Nice detail. There's a story again, isn't there? There's a steam train and camp, cowboy. Cactus. I don't know what's a story about a cactus. Nice sort of vector style, isn't it? This is how depth works well. Light in the background, darker in the foreground, more saturated, and we've got this illusion of depth in a very sort of vector flat image, which is just made up of silhouettes, but it's a lovely style. It looks really great. Then we've got details like this water tower. Yes, the water tower for the train there. It just works really well. In minor details like this grass looks really good. Yeah, it's just working really nicely. And these minor details just to break up these edges. This is fantastic. The horse looks really good. I'm very much liking this piece. I think it's really great. And there's a blur in the background. So that sort of distance, depth of field is the word I'm looking for, which really helps as well. I love that piece. Well done, Just. One from Dimarov, sorry. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right at all. But the Mad Max theme again, we're back. You must have been really delighted when you saw that the theme was transport. These vehicles are great. They look really nice. I'm not sure whether the outline is working for me. You can see it going wrong in places like this. It's lost an outline in places. That's the problem with that freestyle thing in Blender. The edges don't always come out. And maybe taking it into a program like Photoshop or similar and tidying the edges up, or GIMP even, and just sort of painting in some of the edges and tidying them up would help. The cars look really nice, they work. It's got loads of movement here, but then no movement here. There's something about it that looks static, and it might be these lines that aren't helping. I'm not sure. There is an issue with depth as well. We've still got the same tone here. Well, in fact, it's slightly darker here than it is in the foreground. It should go darker foreground, lighter in the background, just like Just's piece here. So watch out for that. Try and get more depth in your pieces. That might help with some of this action that's going on here. Maybe we need less going on in the background and foreground, so we can focus more on this. I'm not sure about that one actually, but it has just got that bit that's missing, because you get a bit confused around these areas, particularly around here. I'm confused as what's going on in this area here, and that's one of the brightest spots. That's where our eye is drawn a bit. Anyway, I'm liking the action that's going on here, the movement of the characters. The models look really, really great. This one especially looks fantastic. So some really nice work, but it's not quite coming together as a composition yet. Bit of work needed there. Well done though. Now we've got one Adnam edits. I think there is a video as well to go with this, so I'll show you the video now. Adnan Samol, is it? Yeah, so we've got some nice sounds. I'm not sure the frame rate's going to work particularly well on my computer, but we'll see how we get on. It's looking really nice though, lovely textures. It's very good, a very good piece. Let's get back to that one. Yep. It's a great model, a really great model. Did you know what I think is letting this down is your background. Your infinity screen's nice, but so it's not actually the background. It's the lighting. We seem to have one light. Is that right? One light? It seems to be. Whereas we could have, an HDRI is going to help it out a lot. I know you've got an infinity screen there, so it doesn't quite make sense, but this side of your infinity screen, so cut it off here and then have an HDRI helping it along. And also these shadows are really dark, so it sort of sinks into this floor a little bit. And for such a great model, I think that lets it down a bit. These look very grey because they've got no reflection and little light, so that would help, because the model's brilliant and the textures are brilliant, but I do think it needs work on the presentation. I liked your animation though, really nice. Now we've got Mark Normington. I like this piece. This looks really great, fantastic, really detailed. It looks just brilliant. Oh, I suppose we could have done with some smooth shading there. That's a really minor point, just sort of notice these little things. But possibly the edges are a bit sharp. It makes it look very sort of CG rather than real. Oh, and then on the tyre, this should dig in. It should be curved. I'm assuming these aren't solid tyres, so they must have air in. So I'm assuming they should inflate out here slightly. Really minor points, because this is an exceptional piece. I would like to see a shadow as well. It just anchors it to the ground and stops it from floating. Again, minor points, but they can make a bit of a difference. And it is really exceptional piece. Lovely textures, lovely model, really well done. I'm liking it. So that was Mark Normington. Now we've got Lassi here. So we've got this sort of airships, and it's sort of a bit low poly, isn't it? To a degree. I suppose the mountain's definitely low poly. I like the background. The background looks really great, but we're missing something, I think, in the lighting with the ships, because the models look really good, but we can't see them so well. They seem overly contrasty. Overly contrasty? Over contrasty, I suppose. This is the same sort of tone as the ship, whereas the ship should be closer. So this should be a little bit lighter, and the ship should be a tiny bit darker because they're close to the camera. But I feel like they've gone a bit too dark and we're losing detail in the shadows. I think there's another one. Yeah, that's we've lost the details completely in the shadows there. But I like this. This is nice, isn't it, in the background? But this is just too much. So I'm going to stick with this one. It's a very tricky one to get right, because there will be a silhouette because the sun is in the background. So these will be dark, but the sun is still the sun, so there'll be lots of bounce light. So they won't be completely silhouetted, and it won't be so high contrast, possibly. But that's what's letting it down. It sort of blends a bit too much into the background. I might have moved this ship up a bit as well, so it doesn't blend in with the background here, possibly as well. But nice work, Lassi. Well done. Who we got here? We've got, next one. This is Adam Edits again. Right, this is Mandalorian, another sort of military vehicle. This is really nice. The textures I really like, and I like that sort of dirty, grungy feel. Very sharp edges though. We need to sort of bevel some of these edges, I think, because it looks a bit too CG. These textures are great though, possibly a bit too lumpy on the actual tyre, so your bump is too pronounced on the actual tyre. So mixing your two textures, watch out for that. Love this rust material here. I love the windscreen, but I feel like they need a windscreen wiper sort of cutouty bit, which ends up, obviously you put a procedural texture on here, or not necessarily, but you place the texture on, and now we need to sort of edit that texture and paint on it perhaps some windscreen wiper areas, which it probably needs to take into an image editing program and edit it that way. But that would have been really cool to see that, and maybe a bit more dirt on the lights. If we got so much on the windscreen, we'd expect to see it on the lights as well. These are minor points. It looks really brilliant. Absolutely love that piece. Again, Mandalorian, nice work. And now we've got RiRi. That's kind of weirdly hard to say. RiRi. I must have a weird lisp in my R's. I only just noticed it. That's not a good sign. Anyway, what am I talking about? This is great, isn't it? Lovely low poly piece. Our eyes are drawn up here a bit too much. It's here, then here, then here. I love the model. Love the scene. But this bit's letting it down a touch. I feel like we needed more trees going off into the distance. And maybe a focal point here. Something going on, something in the story, maybe someone hailing a hailing a taxi and it's just sort of driven past for some reason, or it's hit something and something's on the floor. I don't know, but our eyes are drawn to this area, so we need to use it. And we've got lots of grey there, so watch out for that, I think. Also, it would be nice to see more glow from the moon. The moon should be brighter, so we'd see a bit more glow in the trees there. Minor points again, really nice piece, absolutely love it. There's some really good quality stuff here, and here's no exception. Wow. Born to Rule, a really nice piece here, great textures, love that decal there. There's even a tiny bit of depth of field, isn't there? That's slightly blurry. So presented really well. This is probably the best presented one, isn't it? Because it's on a floor, the background suits it, it makes the colours pop out, so it's really nice. Again, these tyres, we need a bit of curve there. I don't know why I'm focusing on that so much, but everyone's done it so far. It just makes the tyres look like they're really rigid when they should have air in and be inflated. Minor point though. I think there's a minor point here as well. It's sort of a bit blocky, so watch out for that. Possibly the edges are a little bit sharp, but it is actually helped by the texture because we've got that sort of edge wear feel to it. That's good. The seats need a bit of a softness to them, so it should look like someone's been sitting in this loads because it's all dirty and old, so that should have that sort of feeling to it, in my opinion. Again, really minor points because it's a fantastic piece. Really like that one. This one is from Terminator PG. I'm liking this, very nice. I like the X-Wing theme and the Star Wars theme, although I'm not a big fan of the fan art, yes, because it's not something you can put in your portfolio so easily, but it's good fun. I feel like this looks out of place. Obviously this is added in afterwards, post, and these look like they were added in post. They look too similar, so I'd modify them in some way, at least rotate them or something like that perhaps. And lastly, I suppose this texture here looks out of place. It looks too vivid and we've lost our model underneath it. I can't really tell what's happening with the shape of the model there because the texture's too vivid and too bright. So possibly a little bit of work there. It's really vivid compared to the rest of the scene as well. And I think the what are they? Exhaust things are a bit too vivid as well in this explosion. This looks nice and soft, and then this looks very harsh and saturated. So watch out for that when you're integrating stuff into your scenes. Very nice work though, from Terminator PG. Next one is Snake, just Snake. Nice piece, quite simplistic but it works. Let's zoom in a bit to this. Now you see, now we can see the detail, and I feel like, this is really nice, isn't it? This is the sort of 70-30 rule where we got this sort of minor details and big areas where there's nothing, and it looks really nice. Possibly a bit too black here, so a bit too contrasty. We can't see the details in that section. I think what I would do, and it's again a minor point, but when presenting a work, have close-ups down the side. So 3 close-ups, maybe in here, in here, and in here, just down the side. If you're presenting it for a portfolio piece, because it's a nice sort of rocket, isn't it? It looks really good, but we can't see it all until we get in close. So I would choose to do that. Well done, Snake. Nice work, though. Why can I not move on? Because I'm full screen. There we go. Oh, they're full screen. Didn't even know there was a full screen. Sorry about that. So now we got one from Darren. This looks good. Nice textures. I like the idea of skateboard for transport. Yeah, that's good. I feel like this edge wear needs to be revealing wood rather than grey. But sometimes you do sort of get that grey layer under paint. I'm not so sure. Possibly something there. I'd like to see some stickers on the bottom. Yeah, that's what I often see in skateboards, those stickers. And I think this texture is letting it down an awful lot. It's really stretched here. So somehow changing this bottom area here would help an awful lot. I feel like as well, this being in colour and the background being in black and white doesn't work for me anyway. I'd have some little bits of colour coming out from the background there, personally. I do like it though, I think it's really great. Nice piece. We've got an animation from, who's the animation from? Jleeta. Let's have a look. Also, we've got a very uniform looking sea, and then is that suddenly gone into slow motion? That plane looks really great. We should be focused. We've got all this animation here, which is of the sea more than anything, and the sea's not great because it's very uniform, and we need to mix that up a bit. And then we've got this lovely bit of animation. We should have focused on this bit of animation, because that looks brilliant. And I like the way we're looking through the propellers, which got motion blur, and we're seeing that, but we do need to see more of this really. I like it. Great model. But yeah, so bits to work on in terms of the presentation there. Really nice. Well done, Jleeta. Now we've got Spectrus_Than. This is a nice piece. Yeah, I really like this. Actually, I think it looks like it's hovering rather than moving, and I think a motion blur in the background would help, because we don't really focus on the background much, so maybe that would be something to help it. I really like this though. The background seems to be going a little bit strange there, but that might just be the angle we're looking at. I love the details in here, and I like this texture as well. That's really good fun. Very interesting idea. It's really working well. Really nice. Maybe a tiny bit of bump on this texture, just across. I don't know. That's a minor thing for me. This, I like this. You've obviously got lots of reference, and you're looking at how stuff is put together and joined together, because we've got lots of details that. Often when people do spaceships, they just do squares everywhere, but we've got lots of pipes and circles and much more going on, and it's nice to see that. Really detailed model. I'm a little bit lost when it's the same as that side, isn't it? This seems to blend into the background too much, so we can't see that it's that. It might just be the angle, so watch out when you're thinking about the angles that you render from. Minor points though. Really love that piece. Great stuff. Here's one from Frank. So well done, Frank. This is looking pretty good, isn't it? Your skills are certainly improving, and this is hard, isn't it? Cars are hard to do, but certainly worth the effort, because you learn a lot from them. It probably needs to be subdivided a bit more, and it might need a bit of solidify modifier just to give it some solidity. Yeah, I feel like your bump is looking a bit weird. Is there a bump, or is that a reflection? I don't know. It looks like it's a bumpy metal, so it looks like something's gone a little bit wrong, but then it's not bumpy here at all. So the texture looks a little bit strange. I'm loving the sand castle with the win flag on it. Nice number plate, privatised. And then we got let. So is this the C is to let? Is it? Is that the thinking? We've got a funny sort of fringe, a white fringe going on here. So does that mean that this was inserted into this picture afterwards? So I'm a tiny bit confused as to how it inserts into the background. I suppose that does make sense actually, yeah. So you've taken this out and done a sort of shadow catcher, put it into the background. We just watch out for those sort of fringes. If you're in Photoshop, then just sort of tidy those up a little bit. And a very shiny pole. But that sounds a slight innuendo, sorry about that. But it seems overly shiny compared to everything else. So the integration, I think, is the thing to work on. Your tyres as well. Your tyres are a little bit too close. They're very grey when they probably should be a bit darker. This sort of tone, and in terms of black. Minor points though. Good work, Frank. Well done. And yes, we can see the interior as well. That's nice to see. Usually people just splat on loads of smudges and things so they don't have to see the interior, so they don't have to model it. Nice work though. Well done. And this is our last one, I think, isn't it? Javed Akhtar, excellent model. I think he mentioned this is a few years old as well, so that's nice. Now this is good. You see, this looks like it's got some curve to the edge, so it's not sharp edges, but then we have got a sharp edge down there, so watch out for that. I love the Tron sort of style though. Really nice, the glow, and it just looks brilliant, doesn't it? A little bit of untidiness up here as well, but minor points really. A really cool looking model. I do like it. Fantastic work. Well done, Javed. So we've got to decide on a winner. So I'm looking through again at my files. I like the low poly style, that's got to be said. Arcadius doing some great work there. Jost is looking very good. That is very good. And Jost 2D work as well is very good. They're all contenders. Adnan edits, some good stuff there. Cool. This is going to be a tough one, really, isn't it? There's some great military vehicles here as well, aren't there? Really nice. seemed to be a bit of a military theme actually going through. I think this is probably the best of the military ones. So Psy Born to Rule You, just by the way it's presented. Yeah, I think it works the best. The other ones are great too, but this one's just a touch ahead. Nice one from RiRi there, and then it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I like Teacups as well. This was very different to everybody else's. Everybody else's was quite sort of well, this one's more fantastical and easier on the eye. This is tough. This is very tough actually, because there's some really quality work. I'm really liking this piece actually. Do you know, I think I'm going to call this a winner of the 2D, which is naughty because I said I wasn't going to do that. But it's such a great piece. I would like it to be in the background. Unfortunately, it's not the Wall of Fame anymore, is it? It's the background fame because I've moved offices. But I think this is a great piece. And I know we focus more on 3D in our Discord server and generally on my channel, obviously. So I do want to have a 3D winner as well. But this one is just brilliant. So well done, Jost. You are going to go on the background of fame with this piece. So I'm thinking of a 3D one as well. 2 winners again. This is looking pretty good, isn't it? And Jost again. I mean, Jost is doing well here. I like the fact that there's a story in this, you see. Look at then there's this one. I think that's who it's between at the moment. We've got Arcadius, we've got Jost, and we've got Psy Born to Rule. It's difficult because in some ways I don't want to go for Jost again because he's already won. But it should always be about the best one winning in my mind. That's what competitions are really. I know they're just challenges and just fun, but I still think you shouldn't sort of. It should always be the best one that wins. It's just how it is, whoever it's from. It's tough. It's tough. I'm thinking. Oh, my computer's crashing. Oh, don't crash on me. Don't crash on me. AVG. Get out of here. I was just going to say, it's all going pear-shaped. Oh, what is? Go away. Right, let's get back to this. Is what I was. There we are. Hopefully that hasn't messed up my recording as well. Anyway, yeah. So as I was saying, Jost. Should I give Jost the? This is my favourite. I think it is. It's got a story. It's well put together. It looks really cool. Love the low poly style. In a sense, there's more work that goes into these pieces, isn't there? In terms of this will take more hours, but possibly more creativity going into this piece. I suppose Arcadius has a good amount of creativity there as well, but there's something just edging it with the story of Jost. So I'm going to say Jost as the winner again. So winner of 2D and 3D, cleaning up today. Jost, well done. So really well done to Jost again, absolutely fantastic work, and really well done to everybody that entered. I thought the quality of work has really stepped up recently, so that's really nice. It's nice to judge that sort of quality. So again, really well done. Don't know the next competition just yet, but do look out on the Discord server, and I'll try and remember to put the links in the description of my videos for the competitions, so do look there if you've managed to get this far through this video. We'll see anyway. So thanks again to all the support from everybody, and I will see you next time.